Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Casey, and welcome to today's episode of Nerdist News Talks Back. It's our weekly over-the-top cage match of a talk show about all things pop culture, and thank you so much for joining us. On today's show, the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, aka Robert Pattinson, hasn't even finished filming, but a TV spinoff is already in the works. And then we're going to be moving on over to the world of TV as well, because speaking of the Bat family, there's a new Batwoman in town. What does this mean for the sophomore season of the CW series? We're going to get into it. And could the Fast and Furious franchise finally be heading for the final frontier? It sure sounds like it. Plus, it's Mario's birthday. I don't know what day exactly because I don't have it in front of me. It's not March 10th, I'll tell you that much. And that means it's time for Mario Brothers trivia. All of this and more on today's episode of Nerdist News Talks Back. Now, folks, we have a ton to talk about on today's show, but before we do, let's meet our panel. Joining us today, she's written comics, video games, novels, and even more novels. Her book Conquest recently hit store shelves, and The Unstoppable Wasp Built on Hope comes out tomorrow. Please welcome Sam Maggs.
Thanks, Dan. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. I feel like you've written a book in the time that I introduced you.
Yeah, I'm super fast. It's like wild. I also really need a nap.
Well, you can sleep after it comes out.
Perfect.
All right. Next, you've seen his YouTube channel, One Wicked Chris. You've seen him as a host for Funimation, and he also hosts the Not Safe for Weebs podcast. It's Chris Lamb.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to get into this with you today. All right. And last but not least, she's a talented journalist and film critic for outlets like The Wrap, The LA Times, and GQ. Please welcome Yolanda Machado.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have an awesome panel today, and we have a jam-packed show. So let's get the show on the road, folks. It's time for our weekly segment that we like to call, Should You Wear a Mask in Public This Week? The answer is yes. Moving on. Let's get into the biggest stories of the week. All right, fans of stars, get ready because we are getting more wars and more treks in our animated futures. It was just announced on Monday that our favorite group of ragtag clones, the Bad Batch, are getting their own Disney Plus spin-off series. Introduced during the final season of the Clone Wars, the Bad Batch are a unique group of clones. Each one has their own unique specialized abilities, and this show is going to take place following the Clone Wars, and it's going to follow this team as they turn into mercenaries and struggle to stay afloat in a post-Republic galaxy. So it's kind of like the A-Team in space. And while the folks at Kessel Run Radio reported this rumor well in advance of the announcement, it's fair to say that most fans didn't see this coming. So let me ask you this. Are you excited for this show, or would you rather see something completely new in an animated context in the Star Wars realm? Sam, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I think that all of the Star Wars animated series have been really, really good. Clone Wars, Rebels, like Resistance, everything has been like really strong. So I like that. Do I love that every single character in the show is a dude? No. But like a significant portion of the creative team is made up of women. So that's great. But I'm also kind of like, it feels a little like, maybe they'll work on it. I don't know. But otherwise, I'm excited about it.
Look, they're upfront in the title. They said it's a Bad Batch.
I mean, then there you go. There you go.
Yes.
Well, in that case, maybe they can have a spinoff called Bad Bitch. But that's what I thought when I saw the name. I was like, oh wait, no, it's Bad Batch. Whoops.
But who would be the eponymous Bad Bitch in that series?
That's a great question.
Yolanda, what do you think about this series? Are you excited for it? Do you want to see them explore maybe a different aspect of the galaxy far, far away?
You know, me and Star Wars had a really bad breakup this past year. So honestly, I'm excited, but I really am hopeful that there's going to be a whole lot new with the series. Perhaps, more people of color in the background, like writing, directing. That's what I'm excited for. The movies, obviously, they've really disappointed me on that aspect, and so if I have to go to the TV series, I have watched a handful here and there, then that's where I'll go. Right now, I'm trying to just be neutral on all things Star Wars.
Yeah, that's honestly what I'm most excited about with Star Wars going forward is now that the Skywalker saga is over, they have so much opportunity now between the oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name of it, but the novel series they're doing, the High Republic,
Yes, the High Republic.
High Republic, amazing. I nailed it. All that stuff. They're still doing the comics. There's just like so much potential now a huge universe for them to play in without feeling tied to the original 9 movies. And like I feel like we were forever like slotting stuff into like, oh, between this movie and this movie and in the 5 minutes before this scene or whatever, like we're like free of that now, and that is very cool because there's a whole universe to explore, like literally.
Yeah, I
It's
think
really
that
on
is
Lucasfilm to do what they are going to do with it. If they, if they give us what we're asking for, the new stuff,
Mhm.
then we're going to
Yeah,
go back there.
I'm really excited, especially with initiatives like the High Republic, where it kind of feels like we're being, like we're slithering out from under the crushing weight of history in the Star Wars universe, where we've just followed this one family for 40 years. And if it's an entire galaxy, there's so many other timelines and time periods and characters that can take the spotlight. So I don't know. I am excited because it's just about like a group of commandos as opposed to yet another Jedi or something like that. Look, everyone loves force powers, but I just want to see something different. And we have J Mark within the chat saying, I liked the Bad Batch episodes, reminded me of that Xbox game that came out years ago. I'm not sure which one you're talking about because the only Xbox game that I will ever think about is Star Wars Battlefront 2 with its Galactic Conquest mode, best co-op mode ever. Republic Commando, there we go, Republic Commando, thank you. We also have OXEEXO in the chat saying, wish they made the new movies as good as the TV show. Oh wow! Did a Death Star just go in front of the moon? Because it got awfully shady in this chat room just now. All right. Well, speaking of animated star shows, Star Trek Lower Decks also released a brand new trailer this weekend, and they're trying to find the sillier side of the 24th century. This animated Star Trek series, hailing from former Rick and Morty head writer Mike McMahon, follows the adventures of the Lower Deck crew as they initiate second contact with other spacefaring civilizations. So, what do you think about a show like Lower Decks, and what do you think can add to the sprawling Star Trek canon? Yolanda, let's start with you.
I was never really into Star Trek. I've watched a few of the movies, but I think this might be the show that would get me into it because if it's funny, like I don't know if you guys have seen Avenue 5 yet, the space travel show on Netflix. Yeah, that was funny. So this one, it's new, it'll be fresh, and it'll probably allow me to enter the world with less stress. Like I don't need to know everybody immediately, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think it looks super fun. It looks hilarious. It does kind of seem like it has that Rick and Morty flavor, but without being Rick and Morty Star Trek, it doesn't really seem to be that kind of a one-to-one, which is great. 2 out of the 5 writers are women, which is very cool for something like this. And I recently wrote a Star Trek comic, and it was about the first female red shirt, because I find that like sort of thanks Dan. I find that sort of look into like, okay, well, like Kirk or while these guys are doing their thing, like what's everybody else doing, really, really fascinating. And that seems to be the core like premise of this show. And apparently the Roddenberry and co were like sold, and Katzenberg were sold on it by the like passion that the creators had for the Star Trek universe. So I think that I think it's going to be good. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good.
I will say, I have friends who know Mike McMahon personally, and he is a diehard Star Trek guy. Like that was probably the only thing that could have lured him away from a show like Rick and Morty. So knowing that someone has that level of just like passion flowing through their veins for a show like this and is able to then rip it to shreds lovingly by like putting it through the filter of comedy, I'm very excited to see something like that. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I love it when shows that have a long legacy kind of show that they're willing to be really self-aware and poke fun at themselves. This actually really reminds me of anime, actually, where there are a lot of animes nowadays that do have comedy spin-offs, like the Melancholy of Haruhi-chan, which is a more chibi version of that anime, and also Attack on Titan Junior High, which is taking a really bloody story and putting them in a junior high setting. And but even something like Harley Quinn show on the animated Harley Quinn show, I think it really showed like a level of self-awareness that really I haven't seen from the Batman universe before. personally.
Yeah, it's nice when they're able to kind of play around because, I mean, sci-fi comedy can kind of be a tough nut to crack sometimes. Like, just ask Star Wars Detours, stuck in development hell or shelved for all eternity. And, we've seen shows like Star Trek try to do comedy before with episodes like Trouble with Tribbles, but it's not their usual wheelhouse. So, I don't know, do you prefer when it is a sci-fi show that's like mostly serious but with funny elements, or do you like a funny show with sci-fi elements?
I'm like, you're like, there's lots of Star news, whatever. I'm a Stargate fan, as longtime fans of the Nerdist may know about me. Gate is like my main girl, and we are devoid of that. But what I loved about Stargate was that it was like really lighthearted sci-fi, and I wouldn't necessarily say that that was a funny show with sci-fi elements. I would say that it was a sci-fi show first and foremost, but it was a show that in that very like 90s, early 2000s sci-fi bent, like just was about like having a good time, friendship, relationships, like not taking itself too seriously. And then kind of all of that withered and died when Battlestar Galactica happened, and everyone was like, sci-fi's gritty, everything is gray, like, whoa, sad stories or whatever. And like I feel like we are just starting to like claw our way out of like what Battlestar did to the sci-fi like landscape. We have stuff like Vagrant Queen and Warrior Nun happening now, which is very exciting. But like, yeah, I want more of this because sci-fi actually doesn't have to be like a grimdark depression fest, despite like the last 15 years of science fiction.
Yes, I definitely think you hit the nail on the head there because what Battlestar was what, like 2003, 2004, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Then you had Batman Begins coming out 2005. It was just like that cultural moment where we're just like, we want to be sad and mad, and we want our people to talk gruffly and have to deal with death and destruction all the time, always.
Yeah.
So it is nice to see that we can have a little bit of levity alongside our darkness as well. Yolanda, I like that you mentioned that you liked this show as a way into the Star Trek universe because I feel you. Like I feel like I'm a bit of a completionist myself, where I'm like I don't want to start a show unless I'm like starting at the first episode. I don't want to just hop in at the most recent one because I'll be like, well, I have all these questions and I feel like I've missed out. So
I tried Picard and I think it's well done, well made, but I was Googling nonstop. So I'm like, okay, hopefully this one will let me like get into it on my own terms through comedy.
mm-hmm. We have Bruce Paulson in the chat saying, I liked the Orville. There's room for sci-fi and comedy. And I think that's also another underrated show. Your mileage may vary depending on your opinion of Seth MacFarlane and his brand of humor, but it is at its core a loving homage to that kind of like high adventure spacefaring that you'd see in Star Trek, but with a distinct comedic tone to it. So I do think there is a wider marketplace. Like you were saying, Sam, and you were saying, Yolanda, as well, like this is a great time to kind of blend the two, especially as we've seen with shows like Rick and Morty as well. We also have Chris Abbott 91 in the chat saying, I think making an entire series about the experiences of the engineering crew while the bridge crew is dealing with everything outside the ship could be funny. Amanda Nelson says, I'm excited for it, and I loved Avenue 5. So clearly you have a fan of the chat. Also, another Armando Iannucci stan. I just love anything that guy does. I have not yet watched Avenue 5, but because of his pedigree, I'm willing to take a gander.
I binged it all yesterday. You have to watch it. It's funny, but you got to give it a couple episodes to really find its footing. I binged it all yesterday, and I'm like, where's more?
Yeah. I feel like the same thing could be said of the Orville, which is like it didn't really know what it was for a while, and then once it understood that it was not a comedy, but it was actually just like a really kind of like funny Star Trek show, then it got rolling, I feel.
Yeah, once they accepted that, they're like, we're Star Trek, but with more dick jokes. They're like that Swear Trek Twitter account. All right. Well, let's move on from Star Trek and Star Wars, from the outer reaches of space. And actually, you know what? Let's just make a U-turn, head right back into space, because the latest Fast and Furious movie, bear with me, F9, is delayed until 2021, but the buzz is already out of this world. And last week, Ludacris, who plays Tej in the series, may have confirmed a long-running joke/wish for many fans of the movies, myself included. And yes, it involves the team heading into outer space. While appearing on Sirius XM's Jess Cagle and Julia Cunningham show, Ludacris was asked about the franchise having nowhere left to go but space. And to his credit, Luda replied, I will say that you were very intuitive because you said something right, but I'm not going to give it away. Now, it's been a long time joke that the series is eventually going to go into space. Like they're just going to pump the NOS, build a ramp, and just blast off in like Dominic Toretto's muscle car and just leave this planet once and for all. But do you think that they could actually head into the final frontier? Like, how much NOS would you need for that? Do you think that's a viable option for a franchise like this? Chris, let's start with you.
Yeah, so immediately where my brain went when I watched the interview and when I did my research on just the franchise itself, it actually really reminded me of Saints Row 3 and then moving into Saints Row 4, the game, because we go from like, gritty and like, a game that's like teased to be like a GTA ripoff, and then it kind of came into its own by being a lot more comical as opposed to GTA still. No shade to GTA fans. And then it went even more bonkers by going into space.
Yeah, Fast and Furious is like probably the best franchise of all time. Just gonna throw it out there. Familia and all that. But my first thought when I saw this was like several years ago, some dude saw Elon Musk shoot his car into space, like some Fast and Furious producer, and was like, holy shit, we got it. That's it. Like, and that's what happened. And they were like, oh my God, we have to do it. And so, yeah, I hope it's true. The movies have so much heart. They're like so positive. I don't know. Saints Row example is so great. Like they went from being like car theft movie to being like,
like go full
like,
on
magical. Yeah.
Yeah, full on like virtual reality, aliens, like.
Yeah, I'm in.
Like literally the first movie has them trying to pull off a DVD player heist. And now they are like international super spies. Like they've become like the Carvengers. They're actual superheroes now. I don't know. Yolanda, what do you think? Do you think that this is a possible avenue for them?
You know what? It probably is, and I will probably still go see it, and it will make a gazillion dollars because at this point, it doesn't matter with that franchise.
Oh yeah.
They know who they are, they know what they're marketing to, and they deliver on that promise every time. And I will definitely go see it if they shoot cars from space and anything to get my mind off of this.
Yes. I mean, also, I'm going to be there opening weekend, like buying an extra fancy IMAX ticket because my name doppelganger, Dan Casey, wrote this movie. I've gotten his emails for years.
No.
Awesome guy. And
wow.
I have to go and support one of my own. Wow. So shout out to Dan Casey. Keep up the good work. Can't wait to see F9. Now, assuming this series does head into space, where do they go from there? Does it go underwater, like race to the Earth's core, a mashup with Transformers? Like, what would you like to see in the wildest of worlds?
I'm going to reference Saints Row 4 again, where they talk to their past selves or some type of alternate timeline time travel BS.
Well, since they're going to space, obviously they're going to discover time travel, so we can go back to the first movie and teach them how to do the heist appropriately.
Oh my
Isn't
God.
that like the only way that Han could possibly be in this movie though? If they already did, like if they're doing so I just don't know.
What's going to happen, and I know this as a fellow Dan Casey, is at the end of the movie, they realize the only way to stop the bomb from detonating the microchips that's going to control the world's corona supply is to blast off into space, and they have to drive into a black hole in Elon Musk's Tesla Cherry Red Roadster that's already floating in space. And at the end of the black hole, who do they find? Han Solo himself, because that is the character's name.
Yeah, we don't even need to go see it anymore.
Sorry to spoil it.
Universal will merge as one big entity by the time that happens. So Han Solo will be there as will everybody else.
He's going to voice the black hole. So yeah, I think that, I think you hit the nail on the head, Yolanda. Like, even though we kind of know what we're going to expect from these movies, like, there's going to be cool looking cars. There's going to be some truly wild set pieces, and there's going to be the most jacked people on Earth punching each other an equal amount of times per their contractual agreement.
With every other word being family.
Yes. Everything else is superfluous. It's just like someone pulls a serotonin lever in my brain and it just floods.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on from La Familia and talk about a very different family, namely the virtual ones that you create in The Sims. So, folks, a new competition show based on the life/family simulation game The Sims 4 is heading to TBS. That's right, The Sims is eSports now. Called The Sims Sparked, this show focuses on 12 different gaming personalities who are going to specialize in different aspects of The Sims gameplay to create and tell unique stories within this simulation. With the grand prize of $100,000, which is bazoinkers, it's safe to say that things might get a little intense in this 4-part series. Now, plenty of other titles have made the leap into esports, like even chess is having a resurgence right now on Twitch as a go-to esport. But do you think The Sims makes sense as a competition series? Yolanda, let's start with you.
No, because what's the end game at the competition? Are we all supposed to end up with families and $1 gazillion? Like, how do you win?
You win when it's finally time for you to go to work the next day because you stayed up way too late playing the game.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that other than why?
Yeah. If anyone just turns to the host and says Rosebud on the first episode, I think they automatically win. So who knows? But Chris, what do you think? Is The Sims ready for esports?
I think that they have the fan base to force it to become one. But it's difficult because it's all very objective as opposed to Smash where someone kills someone else for the allotted number of slots that they have. I do want to say two things though.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing that I'll say is that with taxes, 100,000 is really not that much. And I also like to reference RuPaul's Drag Race where the prize is also $100,000. And so I think there's a little bit of a gap in effort that needs to be put in, sitting in your computer, building a bakehouse versus singing, acting, dancing, and being able to put on makeup. Just saying. That's all.
Well, you have to spend the time reading the appropriate skill books and waiting for the little blue bar to fill up. So who can say which one takes more time and energy? One is certainly worse on the lumbars.
I don't like that we're being so mean to The Sims and people who like The Sims. Listen, I think that watching video games on Twitch and video game streaming is the biggest medium in the world right now, basically in terms of what kids and teens watch. This is what people do with their time. And not everybody wants to watch shoot 'em up gun games all the time. There is a huge fan base, like Chris said, for The Sims, most of whom are marginalized people, women, people who don't feel welcome in traditional gaming or esports spaces. I don't think that every single one of our sports is as military or mean as a football where people get damaged. We also have things that we watch that are not competitive sports. And so why, not all of our reality shows are American Ninja Warrior. Some of them are House Hunters. It's okay to have video games do two different things. And a great number of people who don't feel welcome or traditionally have not been welcomed in esports spaces, namely women and people of color or queer people, who don't, they have traditionally not been allowed anywhere near these spaces, are really into The Sims. And now we're putting a highlight on people who've put a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of work into this game. There's a reason that esports is $1 billion industry, even though some people say clicking a mouse doesn't take as much effort as throwing a football. People put their whole life effort into this, right? And the fact that people are doing this with The Sims as opposed to Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, I don't feel like we should be so disparaging about that, especially when it opens the gamer door to all kinds of people. There are games for everyone and there are shows for everyone, and I'm into that.
I think you make an excellent point, Sam, and I do want to apologize. I'm not trying to disparage The Sims or its fan base. I have been a player of The Sims since Word 1. I played The Sims Online, embarrassingly enough.
Oh my God.
It's a remarkable storytelling tool. I was just struggling to make sense of.
Well, and I don't mean this crew necessarily. I mean online. I feel this is getting a lot of disparagement, and I'm just I'm not here for it. I want to be cool about it.
I also, because obviously I'm Latina, I have a daughter, she's 13, so I understand all that.
Yeah.
My whole thing, and it's not just against esports, I don't watch reality shows as it is. My whole thing is, why are we rewarding like 100 grand when there's people like, in LA, we have so many people homeless. Why can't we, have charities, people do this for charity and donate to make the world a little bit better.
Love that.
Play the games. I play them too. So does my daughter. But I'm really against making it like this big competition to win money.
I think that's a valid point, because I think I actually, since I'm back home now with my family, I've been watching a lot of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and that is what they do. It's earning money for their charity as opposed to themselves, which I like.
Yeah.
But to Sam's point about marginalized and Yolanda's, of course, about marginalized communities, I am very happy that they casted a queer Black person to be the host of the show. I do have like I did like have a head tilt moment where I was like, he's an American Idol contestant, as opposed to like somebody in one of our communities maybe could have done it. I'm sure he's great. I'm just saying.
All over again, basically, with the ballroom competition.
Yeah, there's so many wonderful personalities in gaming who are queer people, are people of color, like are marginalized people. The community is huge, right? It does kind of feel like a moment of producers who are like not in that world making the casting decision. But like, yeah, to your point, there also could have been like a million worse people that they went with. So like whatever. But
Completely.
there are so many skilled people in this industry.
And I will say, it just reminded me as well, another unexpected esport that I saw recently was Twitch Rivals did competitive Stardew Valley, where they had people race to see who could get all the collectibles and all of that first. So truly anything can be a platform, and hopefully they will use this platform to then cast a spotlight on worthy causes as well, especially right now when so many people are hurting for so many different reasons. But let's switch gears away from esports for a moment and talk about another world that is raising more than a few eyebrows, the world of theme parks. Now, despite Florida's growing number of COVID-19 cases, Disney World reopened over the weekend, and despite all medical recommendations not to do so, the park was filled, including with a few streamers who probably should not have gone if you've watched all that drama unfold on Twitter. Now, it's pretty clear at this point that folks are going to go to theme parks no matter what. They're saying sorry to your relatives, but some folks need plush toys to resell on eBay at exorbitant prices. However, in Japan, on a lighter-hearted note, it was announced that they are instituting new guidelines in amusement parks to stop people from screaming on roller coasters. They're essentially banning yelling on these turbulent death machines and instead urging riders to, quote, please scream inside your hearts. So, first of all, could you do that? Could you scream inside your heart? Would you not be able to avoid screaming on a roller coaster? Yolanda?
Typical Tuesday for me.
I'm a parent. I practice not screaming often, but on a roller coaster, that's what makes it fun. Like, when I was much younger, I was a roller coaster fanatic. I've been to all bunch of Six Flags, and the screaming is half the fun, honestly, because you go wild. Screaming your heart sounds a little like bless your heart to me. So yeah, I don't know.
I wish more than anything I could have revealed my shoulder and had like a scream inside your heart tattoo like already done, because I
that's
just
gonna be
feel
my
like this
new
quote is so
parenting
relatable.
motto.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mood.
Yeah, I'd like to know how much money could we make right now if we could look at the chat right now and everyone's like, yeah, same. I already do that. Yeah, that's 2020 already. Yep.
We have someone in the chat saying 2020 in a nutshell. Please scream inside your heart. Yeah, one of the unexpected perks of this job was once upon a time for Furious 7, when it was coming out on home video, because that movie made more money than anything ever should. It made over $1 billion. They flew a bunch of journalists, myself included, to Abu Dhabi. And
oh my God, I remember
the
this.
things we got to do was go to a theme park called Ferrari World, which is exactly what it sounds like, a Ferrari-themed theme park. And it is home to the fastest roller coaster on the planet. You shoot out of it at about 200 miles an hour. It's like a less than 2-minute experience. And I sat in the very front row. I had to wear protective glasses. And it's like being launched into a hairdryer at light speed. Afterwards, I felt hungover. I had like a headache. It was over 110 degrees outside and humid. but that was the only time I ever have not been able to scream because all the moisture left my body. I was like SpongeBob when they show him out of the water. But yeah, I don't think I could scream inside my heart because I'm already doing that. I have to scream outside my heart when I'm traveling at top speeds.
Yeah. It does sound like a very weird YouTube challenge though.
The scream inside your heart challenge?
Like you have to sit on a roller coaster, not scream. It just sounds like a really,
I'll tell you, I've done it once, and it was the first time I took my daughter on a roller coaster, and it was so she wouldn't get scared. So the whole time I'm trying to hold her down because she's, floating up, and I'm like not screaming so that she knows this is supposed to be fun. It was very, very hard.
I am impressed. To me, I feel like not screaming inside, like please scream inside your heart, just describes like the first like 25-ish years of my life before I ever saw a therapist.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, you know what? Just deal with that later. But bringing it back to theme parks for a minute, apart from not reopening right now, are there any guidelines that theme parks could take to make them safer?
Don't reopen.
No, don't reopen.
Yeah, I don't even want to mess with that. Like, so many cast members are in danger right now because of, the government doesn't want to pay unemployment anymore. It's forcing people back to work. Like, Disney's corporate offices are not open. That speaks to, I think, their priorities. I have friends who are cast members. I'm not into it. I worry for them every single day. And
also, let's not forget, in not the distant past, they had a measles outbreak there, and they had to track down everybody because they ended up being like ground zero for it. I grew up going to Disneyland. I'm not going back like anytime soon. I don't, as it is, money's, everybody's in a financial crisis right now as well. Am I going to spend $200 to go on a ride and not scream, wear a mask? No, thank you.
Yeah, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. It's very disheartening. I obviously am feeling for all of these people whose livelihood is invested in being a cast member or working at one of these parks. But I struggle to understand how anyone in their right mind, in the face of so much science and data, could do something like this, like with just the cold-blooded motivation of profit. It's just deeply
Welcome
disheartening.
To America.
I know. I know. It's just it's such a bummer. You don't want to think that's the world we live in, but clearly it is. Well, moving on from screaming inside my heart, let's talk about something else that had fans screaming perhaps for a different reason. Ruby Rose announced that she was stepping away from the role of Batwoman after one season of the CW series, and fans have been wondering what was next for Kate Kane. Well, last week, we finally got our answer when it was revealed that the Bat Torch is being passed on to God Friended Me star Javicia Leslie. She's going to be playing Ryan Wilder, a brand new character who will assume the mantle of Batwoman. So, first of all, what do you think about this casting? Are you glad they opted to make a new character in the form of Ryan Wilder, or would you prefer if they just kind of soap operaed Kate Kane and pretended like nothing happened? Sam, let's start with you.
Oh, I love that they made a new character. There's like 75 Robins. Like, who gives a shit? Let's have a second Batwoman. Like, I think it's amazing. I think that's part of the greatness of the serialized nature of comics, is things can grow and adapt and change over time. And Kate had a great moment. We got to see Kate. That's cool. Creating a new Batwoman is equally cool. It's amazing that she's still going to be a lesbian. She's being played by a bisexual actress. She was amazing on God Friended Me. I love that her character is like very different from Kate Kane. I think she like owns one plant and lives in a van or something. Like, she does not have it together, which I think is very funny and relatable. So I'm just super excited to see what they do with it. I think it was a great call.
Awesome. Chris, what do you think?
I'm so excited too. I am already saving up to buy each box set season individually as opposed to the complete box set after the series is finished. That should say something. I also just saw like how excited Black Twitter is about this casting. Like, everybody is so excited, and so I just think that it's really important, and I just really hope that I can support it however I can. I actually was looking up a few stats just regarding like, the Black community. They're a very underserved market still. They have so much buying power, but Like I read that from a Nielsen study, it's like $1.3 trillion, but only 18 billion was spent to cater to that market. And so, you know, like if you're not mad, if you're mad about this, then they're doing it for the money. So, you know, too bad.
Yeah, I struggle with fans that get like salty about stuff like this, because some people just want to get angry about literally anything. They would get mad if they cast Javicia as Kate Kane. They would get mad if they cast her as Ryan Wilder. They would get mad if they cast someone completely different. They just want to be mad online, and that is just a chaotic energy I cannot get down with.
Yeah, just real quickly, I also wanted to say that I really do hope that like they take steps to protect the actress, because I'll just say that I think it would be important for the producers and the people involved in this project to take note of what happened to
Star Wars.
Yes, exactly. Kelly Tran and, you know, John Boyega.
Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that they, with the Arrowverse being their crown jewel, they would put their money where their mouth is and provide appropriate support networks, especially when they're really making so much hay about what a like crown jewel this is going to be for the new vision of the Arrowverse going forward. They
Mhm.
are like trying to financially and creatively like show that they mean that when they say they mean it when they say they have a commitment to diversity, but obviously only time will tell. How do you think they're going to address Ruby Rose's character leaving? Like, what do you think they're going to say about, oh, Kate Kane? She hasn't been seen around these parts in 20 years. Yolanda, how do you think they're going to address Kate Kane's departure?
Oh God, they could go that way, or they could just not mention it. I'm honestly good with either one, because I think a new character deserves kind of a blank slate, so you don't compare her to somebody else. And I am loving that it's brand new character, blank slate. You can create her, you know, her background, everything, and it's about time. I always relate because all these fans, well, you know, the original, it's always this. It's like. We have like a gazillion World War II movies. God knows how many Spider-Man, Batman. What is it? So we have now a female character that we're turning into a Black character. Are you offended at the other World War II movies? Are you offended at the 5 billion Batmans? Are you offended at all the Spider-Mans? Then why are you picking this one instance? That means you're not a fan. You just are wanting something to serve your bias. And I'm glad that the shows finally are saying, well, we can go in a different direction.
Yeah. And for those people that are just like salty about it, you don't have to watch the show. Not everything has to be for you. There's so much content out there. If you don't like something, just shut up and watch something else. It's free to shut up. It does not cost anything. Now, we were talking a little bit about Ryan Wilder's background, and she is very different than Kate Kane, someone who grew up in a world of wealth and privilege. Wilder's described as being the opposite of Kate Kane, likable, goofy. She grew up poor and worked as a drug runner, often on the run from the GCPD, someone who masks her pain with bad habits, but also, as Sam mentioned, someone who would feed an alley cat with a saucer of milk, lives in a van with her plant, like definitely feels more relatable to many people that I know in terms of just like, look, I can barely keep a plant alive. How am I going to defend Gotham City? But what do you think about this like sort of wrong side of the tracks background for a character like this who then has to take on a more heroic vigilante role?
It's funny, I would say that they're like in tune with the times or whatever, and being like, oh, nobody wants to see like a 1%er be a superhero, like Batman sucks, whatever, like I'm over it. But then, and maybe this is a good segue into our next topic, but then they're also making a police department show, which is like Read the Room. So
Right.
it's like, I actually don't know if they're reading the room. It's like, I feel weird about it. Like maybe the creators of this show are like, clued into like the zeitgeist and what people are looking for, but then like at the same time there's this other thing. I don't know. So yeah,
well,
but
let me hop in there and queue up that next segment, because that is an excellent segue. Because for our main topic of the day, we're going to stay in the world of Batman. On Friday, we learned that HBO Max and DC are teaming up for a spin-off series to Matt Reeves' forthcoming The Batman movie. It's going to be a drama set within the Gotham City Police Department. And while the show does not have a name as of yet, it seems like a similar premise to Ed Brubaker, Greg Rucka, and Michael Lark's Gotham Central comic book series. Now, my first question is, isn't this what Gotham on Fox was supposed to be when it started? And my second question, which is something that Sam touched on, is now the right time for another cop show?
No. Like, no. And beyond that, like from a
No.
purely like comic book nerd perspective, Renee Montoya was coolest when she was the Question and not when she was part of GCPD. Like, I don't know, like what
Maybe the question she's asking is, how can we defund the Gotham City Police Department
that's the
and
only
replace
version
it
of the
with
show I
community
would
caring
watch. Yeah.
initiatives and reallocate that money?
Yeah, I think it's just a very unfortunate, like, oh, we've been in development, so we gotta just put this out and see what happens.
You don't. And they didn't have to put Confederate on the air either, and they didn't.
I know.
You know,
Listen,
like
HBO can be a very mixed bag because, you know, like it has a lot of great shows that I really like Insecure and I Will Destroy You, and I forgot what's the name of the show with Zendaya? I'm blanking on it right now.
Euphoria.
That's
Thank you. Euphoria. Like, I think those are amazing shows, and also Legendary, I think is a great show.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a mixed bag. Also, like, because it's HBO, is there going to be a lot of sex in there? Because I mean, I want to hold space for the police critique. Obviously, I totally agree. But also, yeah, I just predict that it will happen.
I have to imagine there will be a modicum of smashing going on in this show. It's HBO Max after all; they're allowed to do it there. But yeah, I think, you know, I was someone who loved the Gotham Central comics when they first came out. It was kind of a unique twist on the sort of not stale superhero genre, but like an oversaturated superhero genre.
And Greg Rucka is great at that. Greg Rucka is great at taking stuff that like you don't think can have a fresh spin. Like, he just wrote that Old Guard movie that just came out and everybody's like in love with it. Anyway, sorry. Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, but it is like, in the context of the times, I'm not sure I would read that through the same critical lens right now, because I also read that back in like 2003, I want to say. I forget when it first came out, but it's been a hot minute. Yolanda, what do you think about this?
You know, I'm still a fan of some cop shows. Obviously, I love SVU. I grew up with it and stuff. I do think there is a way to be able to do it now, but I don't think studios right now have the cultural awareness to deal with it the way it should be dealt with. Which would really involve them revamping how they hire people, the consultants they bring in, and really reading the temperature of the audiences. Because I mean, we do exist in this little social media bubble where we work in entertainment, so obviously we're well aware of a lot of stuff that is coming on. But when I go talk to like my sister, she knows nothing about this stuff. So I think they need to really change a lot of how they construct these shows before they tackle something like a new police procedural that mixes with like comic book or anything that involves cops, because everything's changing.
I feel like the backlash against propaganda is only going to get worse.
Exactly.
As like
the climate is changing. Yeah. They're going to need a team of experts, and I don't think they're willing to pay for any of that.
The other problem is, like, even assuming their heart is in the right place, because I do think that Matt Reeves is an excellent filmmaker. Like, what he was able to do with the Planet of the Apes series is those should not have been as affecting and thoughtful as they were in any universe, but somehow they were. But like, you run the risk of, if you're trying to say, they're trying to shine a spotlight on police brutality or corruption in police departments, how can you do that in the current socio-political climate without coming across as glib or kind of doing the like weird, like almost fantasy fan fiction version of it? It just feels too fraught right now. Like, we haven't figured it out in our world. I don't think that the other residents of Gotham are going to be the ones to finally open up our eyes to these very important
Gotham PD sucks so bad. Some like rich Elon Musk douchebag dresses up like a bat and solves all their crimes for them. Like, this is not that, we're not talking about like, yeah, we should definitely not defund the Gotham PD. Like, I can't think of a good argument for that. There's so many supervillains. Like, they obviously are not great at what they're doing.
They're not very good at their job.
No.
defund the Gotham Police Department.
I'd rather see a story about like a real estate agent in Gotham who's like trying to get people to move when they know that their like apartment complex is likely to be attacked by fear toxin from Scarecrow or get leveled by an earthquake at any moment, engineered by some kind of supervillain.
Yeah, that goes back to what we were saying about humorous sci-fi. Like, let's do some
like
of that.
the engineer room pitch. That's great.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, just I mean, I was going to joke, but then they did make the Alfred prequel where he's the super spy war hero. So hey, anything's possible. We have Bad Baby Kosh in the chat saying, "Can we have a superhero series where evil cops are brought to justice? Can I have this fantasy?" And the answer is yes, you can have this fantasy, and it would be lovely to see. But I think it's just a sort of a cynicism on our part that is hard to put aside, given what we've seen in the past from like giant pop culture properties like this. I don't see them potentially alienating a giant part of their fan base in order to do something like this, unfortunately. But then again, you have people like Jerry Conway who are decrying the co-opting of the Punisher symbol by white supremacists and people who use that as a like kind of a hoorah, like toxic masculine symbol to just like justify violence against people, usually people of color and other disenfranchised groups. Like, so I don't know. I'm very like, I'm stoked that Matt Reeves is doing more with Batman. I just wish it wasn't this.
Yeah, man.
That said, let's because I want to bring it back around because I understand that some people are excited about this. This is going to fit into the same universe as the Batman with Robert Pattinson as Batman, Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. Do you think we're going to see any cameos from those characters, or do you think they're mostly going to be kind of sidelined? Because that was an interesting part of the comics where you had like glimpses of Batman here and there. How do they operate in a city where you have a superhero? Chris, what do you think?
Repeat the question for me one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you think that we're going to see characters like Robert Pattinson's Batman and Jeffrey Wright's Commissioner Gordon appear on this show, or are they just going to be kind of mentioned offhandedly, like, oh, those guys off camera?
That's tough because I think it could go either way. I think I'm veering more towards Yolanda's reaction. I think I saw her shaking her head. I think I'm more on that side.
I could see them maybe filming something for like, they're going to do like some second unit filming for the Batman when they start filming again. They're going to do some pickups for the series, or they're going to just have them shoot against a green screen and just drop them into that series later on.
Yeah.
They'll appear for a grand total of like 5 minutes across the entire run of the show.
Green screen. That's great.
Yeah. But when it comes to what DC is doing, do you prefer like an interconnected universe like we see Marvel doing where their TV shows feed into their films, which feed back into the TV shows? Or do you prefer these similar yet different distinct universes that DC is making with things like the Arrowverse and the DCEU? Yolanda, let's start with you.
Antiverse. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, please. I'm sorry.
No.
I prefer the connected universe because it's much easier to follow. As obviously my main stuff is film, so for me, if I'm going to jump into TV and it'll be easier for me to jump into something that's Marvel because I already understand what's going on. Whereas when I've tried watching a few different DC shows, I'm like, wait, where is this? What timeline? Who's this? I eventually catch up, but it takes me a little bit longer because they're totally different entities from each other. I would have, as a fan and someone who watches a lot of stuff, I would prefer the continuity, whether it's even a little like, yeah, and the way they reference, the event for the Avengers on TV shows is like, well, the event, like something like that would work for me.
I wish they would do that as well. I personally don't think that DC has like the structure in place to do that. Like Marvel had that one governing figurehead in Kevin Feige who was like overseeing everything, and that sort of allowed for that to happen. And I think they're missing that sort of like cohesive or uniting, like overseeing figurehead at DC right now. And I think that the Berlantiverse or like the Arrowverse is really cohesive. I love Legends of Tomorrow. I love Batwoman. I love Arrow and Flash, like those shows all connect together really well. Supergirl, they've done such a great job of doing like crossover events that are super, super fun. But I also wish they connected with the movies, but the movies are so like all over the place that I don't know how they would do it at this point without basically scrapping everything they've done in the films and starting over and just giving all the control to like the folks on the TV side who have made like consistently good and like fan appreciated content, I guess.
But isn't that essentially what Marvel did? They scrapped everything before the MCU
Yeah.
was developed and just went from there.
And that's like, I feel like that's exactly what they would have to do. But like, are they doing that? Because now they have like the Gotham PD show that has the Robert Pattinson movie, and then they have like the Suicide Squad verse, but then they also have the Berlanti verse. Like, I feel like they're not doing that, and like that's exactly what they would have to do, you know?
Yeah, I think the DC model is great if you like Elseworlds, where you're like, these are all similar but different. But we did see with that the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths event, where they had Ezra Miller's Flash appear.
Yes.
That's the first time they've crossed the streams with the movie verse and the TV universe. So they've definitely opened up DC's multiverse to that possibility, but without like really committing in a meaningful fashion. So they have a runway for TV to kind of adjust to course correct if they want to be in line with the movies, but we'll see if they actually decide to do that. I think they're just like, no, we're just making money here. We're going to wait until we can compete with Marvel on our own terms instead of chasing what they did and then having to backtrack because people didn't like how we followed focus groups responses to our trailers. So I don't know. Chris, do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
Nope.
All right.
I really don't.
Well, that is totally fine, because now I'm going to be asking you folks some more questions, but not just about the news, because the news is done. So we're done with the news. It's time now for Nerdist News Trivia. And here at Nerdist News Talks Back, we like to collect our trivia to the barest of threads. So this week marks the 37th anniversary of our favorite diminutive Italian plumber hitting Japanese arcades in the original Mario Brothers game. Now, to properly celebrate this mustachioed marvel of the Mushroom Kingdom, we're going to be doing a Mario-themed trivia contest. So do you have a pen, pencil, or crayon, folks? Something to write on? All right, let's do this. So multiple choice, let's start off with an easy one. Mario first appeared in which game? A, Ice Climbers, B, Donkey Kong, C, Game & Watch, or D, Legend of Zelda? That's A, Ice Climber, B, Donkey Kong, C, Game & Watch, or D, Legend of Zelda. Do we have our answers? All right, please present them to the camera.
Can you see? Oh.
All right, you all nailed it. The answer is B, Donkey Kong. Congratulations, you did it. All right, the second question, another multiple choice. Before being named Mario, what was his original name while the game was in development? A, Plumberto, B, Luigi, C, Mr. Italy, or D, Jumpman? A, Plumberto, B, Luigi, C, Mr. Italy, or D, Jumpman? All right, do we have our answers, folks? Let's see them. All right, I have some bad news, Yolanda. He was not Mr. Italy. The answer is D, Jumpman. That is correct, Sam and Chris.
Mr. Italy is great, though, in fairness.
What's up?
Mr. Italy is great, though. Like, that's a good name.
Mr. Italy was his father, please.
He was the winner of the Mr. Italy.
Yeah, he won the contest. It's more of an inherited title.
Yeah.
They actually named Mario after Mario Segale, who was Nintendo's then landlord in Washington.
Huh.
They were trying to just come up with a good name for this character. Jumpman wasn't going to cut it, so they went with Mario.
What?
All right, multiple choice. Who is not a Bowser minion, one of the characters more commonly known as a Koopaling? Is it A, Iggy, B, Ozzy, C, Wendy, or D, Ludwig? Which character is not a Bowser minion or Koopaling? A, Iggy, B, Ozzy, C, Wendy, or D, Ludwig? All right, do we have our answers, folks?
We'll see.
Let's see them. Okay. So, unfortunately, Y'all got it wrong. The answer is B, Ozzy. Iggy, Wendy, and Ludwig are all proud Koopalings. I know. I don't name them. I have to take that up with Doug Bowser, Bowser's father. All right, number 4, true or false? Mario makes a cameo in Donkey Kong 2: Diddy's Conquest. True or false? Mario makes a cameo in Donkey Kong 2: Diddy's Conquest, which may or may not be the prequel to Sam's novel. All right, let's see it, folks. The answer is true. It is true. He has a cameo at the end, part of Cranky Kong's video game Heroes alongside Link and Yoshi.
Is that true? Exclamation mark?
Yes.
No. It's a guess, really.
I mean, look, all we can do is guess in the face of Mario's prodigious mystery, his many cosmic secrets. All right, question number 6. It's another multiple choice. The first Donkey Kong game was originally supposed to be a game for which other pop culture character? A, Bugs Bunny, B, Mickey Mouse, C, Tom and Jerry, or D, Popeye? The first Donkey Kong game was originally supposed to be a game for what other pop culture character? A, Bugs Bunny, B, Mickey Mouse, C, Tom and Jerry, or D, Popeye?
Like I got this wrong. I'm second guessing myself already.
That's the secret to doing
No clue.
trivia. Always second guess yourself. All right, let's see those answers, folks. So Sam, you say, is that a D?
D.
You all got it correct. The answer is Popeye.
I remember playing that game.
Yes. Barrels of spinach.
Exactly.
All right, so this next question is going to put your artistic prowess to the test. It is a draw-off. So the Mario franchise is full of whimsical, iconic characters like Bowser, Princess Peach, Birdo, Toad, my boy Waluigi, and so many more. Now, I'm going to give you 30-ish seconds to draw yourself as a Mario character, and points will be awarded for creativity. So your time begins now. I'm curious what character I'd draw myself as. Probably just something grotesque like Waluigi. But only time will tell how you see yourself in the Mushroom Kingdom.
So let's just throw it out there. I'm a writer. I write things only and not an artist.
Look, instead of painting a picture with words, paint it
with literal fingers.
Just make it super abstract and be like, this represents.
Yes.
That's basically what we're getting.
You ask art. Okay. I'm going to give you 5, 4,
Wow.
3,
So bad.
2, 1. It's okay. Abstract art is still art. Let's see those drawings. Yolanda, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm a terrible artist.
Oh, I like it. Got the crown and everything. A regal portrait. I enjoy it. Chris, what do you got for us?
I drew myself as a toad.
Oh, you got the hat and everything, the whole uniform.
I tried to give myself glasses, but it looks like I have a black eye.
Why not both? Toad's taking some dino damage. And Sam, what do you have for us?
I went Goomba with glasses
Aww.
and some hair. Yeah, that's how I think of myself.
All right. Well, folks, I can't choose. I'm going to give you all 1 point because I think all of those portraits are beautiful.
That is so cute.
I appreciate you putting yourselves out there, showing me the vulnerable side of yourselves, bearing your soul to the Mushroom Kingdom. So a point for everybody. All right, moving on. We have true and false question. True or false? Mario was originally supposed to be a carpenter, not a plumber. True or false? Mario was originally supposed to be a carpenter instead of a plumber. A real Harrison Ford type. He was a carpenter before he was an actor.
Right. Also Jesus.
Yes. Jesus, a real Mario type. Or was he? All
Both
right,
equally
let's see
famous.
those answers. Okay, we have Sam said true. Chris said false. Yolanda, I can't see yours. True. The answer is true. He was originally supposed to be a carpenter, not a plumber. But I think, look, I can't imagine Mario without warp pipes. What's he going to do? Just like walk into a wood chipper? That's way darker. All right. Number 9, multiple choice. In the live action Super Mario Brothers movie, what a film, which Mario character did not make an appearance? A, Peach, B, Yoshi, C, Daisy, or D, Toad? Which of the following characters did not make an appearance in the live action Super Mario Brothers movie? A, Peach, B, Yoshi, C, Daisy, or D, Toad? And I definitely would have gotten this wrong, and I have the answers in front of me. All right, let's see it, folks. What do we got? The answer is A, Peach. Princess Peach was not in this movie, but Daisy somehow was. I know.
Daisy was the original princess.
Daisy
was the OG.
It's true. It's true. But this next question will be along similar lines, so dig deep into your princess lore. Question number 10, true or false? In Mario's first game, he's fighting Donkey Kong to save his girlfriend, Princess Peach. True or false? In Mario's first game...
Literally just gave everybody the answer to that question.
To save his girlfriend, Princess Peach.
I shot my big ass mouth off and I gave everybody the answer to the question before you even asked it.
I was already looking down at my paper before any of this, so I didn't see what you said. So
I will give a bonus point if anyone can name her as well. It was in Mario's first appearance, not his first game, not the Mario Brothers game, his first appearance. All right, let's see those answers.
Pauline!
Correct. It is Pauline. You get the bonus point. Her first name was Lady, and it was later changed to Pauline, so I'm giving that bonus point. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, she is seen in Super Mario Odyssey as the mayor of New Donk City.
Yeah,
that's how I knew. That's how I knew.
Yes. So thank you so much to the residents of New Donk. I think, did I skip a question in there?
Yeah, you skipped 8.
Okay. Previously on this question, our last question of the day, because I love this one. Is fill in the blank. Mario's full name is Mario blank. What is Mario's last name? Just fill in the blank. All right. Do we have our answers, folks? Let's see it. As much as I wish it was spaghetti or meatball, the answer is in fact Mario. His name is Mario.
And his brother's name is Luigi Mario. It doesn't make any sense.
What?
Make it make sense.
Yes, it's tragic. It's tragic, I know. So I've done some quick mental math. I've run the numbers. I've talked to the leading accountants in the Mushroom Kingdom, and we have our winner. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. The winner of today's Mario Trivia Off is Sam with 9 out of 10. Congratulations, Sam.
I'm allowed to continue to work in the video game industry.
Yes. If you had 8 or lower, we had to ask you to turn in your gamer card. I don't make the rules.
You and everybody else on the internet, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, you like
Get
Mario?
in line.
You like Mario? Name 5 Italians. All right. Well, thank you everyone for playing this deeply silly trivia game and for joining us today on Nerdist News Talks Back. Now, before we bid everyone adieu, it's time for your 30-second soapbox. It's your time to get whatever's on your chest off your chest, promote whatever you want, talk about whatever you want. Sam, as the newly anointed queen of the Mushroom Kingdom, you're up first. What have you got for us?
Thank you so much. It's super fun being here today. My latest book, The Unstoppable Wasp Built on Hope, is out tomorrow, July 14th. It follows the adventures of teen superhero Nadia Van Dyne, the Unstoppable Wasp, as she tries to be the best superhero, the best scientist, the best lab partner, the best daughter, the best stepdaughter, the best driver, the best everything she can possibly be. And she realizes that is a lot harder than it looks. So pick it up if you are missing Marvel movies. Maybe this will fill the void a little bit.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I can't wait to read it. That rules. Awesome. All right. Yolanda, you're up next. What have you got for us?
I'll actually be announcing a few things in the next couple of weeks about things I'm monitoring, hosting, and some other things I've got in the works. So Twitter is the best place Sassy Mama in LA. Everywhere, follow me. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Fantastic. I follow you and I am not disappointed. So thank you so much for joining us. And I can't wait to see what you have in the pipeline.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, Chris, what have you got for us on the Soapbox?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that I'm I'm very excited for The World Ends With You anime coming out. I love that game so much. And also, you can follow me on all social media at One Winged Chris. It's all spelled out. It's not the number one. And please check out my podcast with Emma5, Not Safe for Weebs. Dan was nice enough to mention it in the beginning. We talk about ships. A different ship every episode. We just wrapped up season 1 and we're really proud of it.
Fantastic. That's so awesome. And you can find that wherever fine podcasts are served?
Yes. Spotify, Apple, Anchor, Pocket Cast.
Awesome. Awesome. So guys, if you like anime, if you like shipping, and chances are you probably like at least one of those two, it's the podcast for you. Check it out. That's it for today's episode of Nerdist News Talks Back, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining me. Sam, Chris, Yolanda, I really appreciate you spending the time with me today. And thank you to everyone at home. We could not do the show without you. And with that said, be sure to check out tomorrow's episode of Nerdist News, where we're going to be breaking down the many mysteries of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. That said, we're going to see you back here next Monday for a brand new episode of Nerdist News Talks Back, live at 2 p.m. Pacific on Nerdist and Geek and Sundry's YouTube channels, as well as Geek and Sundry's Twitch. Until then, stay safe, be healthy, and have a great day. Bye-bye.